Hey everyone. So I've received many of downloads the last day, I would say. I got and this is in regards to twin flames and conscious relationships in general, but I'm going to refer a lot to the twin flame journey just because I'm on it. And my guides told me that I would have to be open about my experiences in my life and be able to come on and talk about things that most people don't want to talk about. And that's not easy. Like, now they're wanting me to come in and talk about specific things in my relationship with my twin, and that's for me, I don't really like the idea of, putting it out there. My mind, my ego doesn't like it because it's a scary thing to do. It really is. And the funny thing is, I think it was just last week or maybe the week before, I was watching an interview with Magenta Pixie, and I think a lot of you probably know who she is. She's been around for a long time. She's written several books. She channels the same collective that Feel Good channels, the White Wing Collective Consciousness of Nine. And she's been in the game a long time. She does have a twin flame, and in the interview, they kind of wanted her to get into, her experience, and she was hesitant. And she said in the past that she had alluded to her twin, that like maybe, or she'd been asked to do interviews and in regards to their journey, and his response was something along the lines of like, we're not perfect, so I don't want to like get out there and like portray all of our imperfections to everyone. Like, he didn't want to like put it out there, so they really haven't been super open about their journey together. And I get that. I totally get that. And I feel similar feelings, but I also feel my higher self and my intuition telling me that I need to be open. I need to be that person who speaks out and shares my experiences. Otherwise, people feel alone. People can't relate, and people need certain messages and lessons that I've experienced. Maybe it's something that somebody else has experienced or can learn from or take with them to help them in their journey. Because the twin flame journey is not like your typical relationship, and that's what makes it so complicated, because you can't just get in your mind and try to make logical sense of it. It's such a heart-based journey that, like, yes, we want that heart and mind balance when it comes to conscious relationships. Like, we want to follow our hearts, but at the same time notice a red flag, notice when to be able to exit the situation gracefully and lovingly and move on if it's not something where you see a high potential of it working out. And that's just the thing about relationships. Like, when we get into a relationship, it's about potentials. So for me, I've always been the type of person as an empath to try to see only the good in people. Like, try to see their potential. Like, I know this person could get to this place, but it's not where they're at right now. And so in turn, I would ignore red flags, and it would bite me in the ass later, because instead of like seeing the situation as a whole, I was just seeing the potential in somebody. And I did that in my past relationships. And after my marriage, I was married for several years, and had a family, had a bunch of kids, like, was trying to do things in a certain way, and I stayed instead of leave because I would just see the potential in my partner. And it wasn't true love, it wasn't true connection, and we both knew that, but we thought we were doing the right thing for our kids and our family, and we were just settling. And because of that experience, I was coming out of my marriage, I wanted to be alone. And so when this twin flame thing came in my face, like, I don't know, like 8 months after I separated, a year, it was a little while after I separated from my husband, it was like a game changer, because I went from like totally content with just being alone to, what is this situation? I had heard of twin flames before, but I wasn't interested. I didn't know a lot about it. I just heard the term like randomly. I would hear somebody mention twin flame, but I was just like, okay, whatever, it's not for me. Like, I don't care about all that lovey-dovey bullshit. Like, I'm just like, was okay with me. I was like to that point in my spiritual journey where I was just like at peace with me. And so when this all came along and I just couldn't let it go, I was just like, and anyone who's a twin flame, a true twin flame, understands like this isn't a black and white regular ass relationship. Like, it's not that easy. It's so much more complex, because the whole purpose of it is to help each other grow to our fullest potential and be the best person that we can be. So for me, I'm the divine masculine in my situation, and I'm always like, anytime I'm triggered, I feel like I want to run. I'm not gonna lie. I'm in union now with my twin, but every time I'm triggered, I feel like running. And but we're doing really well, and we've grown so much working through that. And the reason I want to run was exactly because of my past, because I stayed in the past and it bit me in the ass. So I was like worried that because I'm with somebody who's not fully healed, now granted, I'm not fully healed either, but when an individual has a lot of the big stuff still to heal, like, you're going to be triggered constantly if you come into union. And so for me, it was very difficult because I didn't want to repeat a cycle. I didn't even want to be in a relationship to begin with. And now I'm in this relationship and I'm getting triggered, but I can't help but be in this relationship because it's true connection. It's true love. Like, it's insane. I just don't even know what to do with it, you know? And you guys are going to laugh, but I don't watch a lot of TV. But I've always had a liking for the show The Bachelorette. So last night I'm watching the season finale, and it triggered the hell out of me. So in a nutshell, what happened was she went on her journey. She came down to two guys, whatever. She picks this guy, and I feel like he was the risk. He was the risk, but she felt that true connection with him, and you could tell he was a genuine person, but he wasn't a healed person. So it ended up blowing up because he made a mistake. It blew up in his face, and you could tell he genuinely learned and grew from that mistake, but it was like the love was tainted. And I feel like the love was tainted because it was just so explosive, and it was hard to come back from it. It was really hard for him to come back from that, although I think that he learned so much from the process. And when I watched it, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you see somebody get betrayed by a genuinely good person who has so much potential, because I feel like him as a person, you could tell he's a good person. You could tell he has this potential. But that's just the thing about relationships. Like, that's why we take these risks, because with true connection, even though, like, the person may be unhealed, that potential, you see it. You see that potential, and you want that. And so that's where the whole separation thing comes in. And the reason we get triggered and, like, almost forced into separation, because usually a lot of times it's the divine masculine's triggered and, like, creates the space. And with me and my partner, it's definitely usually that. And it's because, like, I know, I see, he will, like, for example, what's difficult for me is my twin will unintentionally trigger me. And for instance, like, he came out of a relationship where communication was, like, terrible. And he was the main culprit in that. And it was, like, understandable if you knew the entire scenario. But he brought 14 years of a relationship prior to me into our relationship, and, like, still had so many, like, bad habits. And it was like, after you do something the same way for 14 years, like, and it was communication mostly, he's having a very difficult time breaking bad habits, right? And so in our situation, it's like every time I want to run, in my mind, I want to create space so he's able to heal and like break these habits. But for some reason, the universe keeps bringing us back together. And I feel like that's because, I mean, we never really separate. We just get upset with each other, you know, and maybe not talk for a day or something like that. But it's not in like an unloving way. It's in the like, I feel so hurt by what just happened way, and you didn't even realize you hurt me. You have so much growing to do. Like, this is where my mind gets all into it. And I feel like we keep coming back together is because he needs that to be put in his face in order to see what he's doing, because he's unconsciously hurting somebody. You know what I mean? And I'm not perfect. I'm not just pinning this on my twin. Nothing is wrong. We're doing really well right now. I'm just giving examples because these are things that we're experiencing in our union. And if I'm not vulnerable and willing to like show that the twin flame union isn't this perfect like heaven on earth, yes, it eventually, when you guys are in it for years and years in union and like really working at it together and growing so much, yes, it's gonna get to that heaven on earth and that bliss. But like, even when you initially come into union, it's still a process. It's still a growing process. Look at Magenta Pixie and her twin. Like, why don't they want to come forward? Because their shit isn't perfect. And that's scary to come forward and be like, yeah, like, we're in union, but it's not perfect. And that's because the twin flame journey is like this challenge almost of like, are you willing to take on this like intense love to grow so much? And that growth has nothing to do with you and your twin. It has everything to do with helping humanity. What you're here to do as a light worker. And like these struggles and conflicts or contrast, whatever, like it's totally intentional, because that is how we grow. If everything was just all hunky-dory and we never had any problems, there would be no growth in that, and life would be so boring. And so you have to be so mature and so conscious and really be able to like purge old belief systems and have a new way of perceiving and thinking about things, and know what angles to perceive your relationship from, to be in this twin flame dynamic, because it's no joke. When you're in union, you're still growing. You're still growing. And I wrote down some notes, so if you see me glance down, I don't want to forget anything. They told me so much. Okay, creating space. And that's the thing about creating space. Like, if it's true love, and like my twin is the only person that I've like truly like loved and felt like deep connection with. If it's true love, like a lot of people like, oh, screw holding space. Like, I'm not holding space for this person. I'm going to move on with my life. I'm going to be alone or be with somebody else or like whatever. I don't want this journey. That is totally your choice. But if it's true love, your intuition will tell you if it's a good potential that this person is going to grow to the point where it's worth it to be in union. Because not in all cases are two twin flames going to be able to really purge and get rid of programs and manifest union and do this together. It's too... Think about it. We're the same because we share the same soul. We're twin souls. But in the same respect, you're two totally different people who went through a totally different life experience, who have had just different experiences. And so maybe, you know, the other one person can't get to that place where you can manifest union and start growing in union. Because there's all these issues when you're not together, but then you come together and there's still issues, because the twin flame dynamic is for growth purposes. It is to become the most brightest light worker ever. You're just shining your light, that people got their damn sunglasses on, your shit is so bright. Like, that is what this union is about. It's about being the best person that we can be, and connection, and raising our vibration. And we have to that always has to be right here in the side of our head, and understanding that as we go through it. Otherwise, you'll throw in the towel so fast, because why am I dealing with this bullshit? Like, I'm this spiritually evolved, like, I know my worth, and I could have that with a soulmate, or I could have that by myself, because I can manifest that love within me solo, you know? But if you know that this journey is for a purpose, then you work together, and it has to be two mutually agreed upon lovers in this twin flame union working together as a team, understanding that. It's so funny because like I had a little misunderstanding the other night with my twin, and the next morning, like, a lot of times he articulates himself better through writing, so he like sent me this long text, even though he was in one room away from me, about like recognizing where he was wrong in it, recognizing like where a change needed to be made and where the misunderstanding was, and like communicating about it, and then like me feeling such a like sigh of relief, even though I wasn't even like what happened didn't really bother me that much. It bothered him more. It was like he was triggered about something, but like that's how we are in our relationship. Like, we're always quick to be like, look, I totally just see how I reacted in that situation and how I could have done it this way, and this is how I feel about this. And then like being so open and vulnerable with your twin. Like, there is no, I'm gonna get quiet and go in the other room so you can guess why I'm upset. Like, that is 3D. Like, that does not exist in twin flame union, and that is what I experience in past relationships. I'm sure everybody has experienced that at one point, even if it's not a relationship in a romantic relationship, just in general. Like, I'm gonna get quiet until they ask me what's wrong because they made me feel this way. Like even I've seen that in friendships, just everywhere. Like, no. And if you are just so open to the point where you're like, look, this is how it is. If something is wrong, you come talk to me immediately about it. Because if you don't, I will always assume that there's nothing wrong. That way there's never a misunderstanding. There's not this game to be played. And that's what, communication is everything. And that's what my twin has a hard time with. And that's why, like, whenever, that's the only time I get triggered. Everything else, I'm like, cool. You know? So, like, for me, it's a huge thing. Communication is huge in relationships because it leads to most misunderstandings. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring up that point because it's crucial. It's crucial to know that the twin flame union is for a divine purpose, and you have to always keep that in the back of your head while you're navigating through this relationship and growing. And be supportive of each other. Like, when somebody, like, when your twin comes to you and says, look, I recognize that I approached this in the wrong way. I'm sorry. Like, I love you, whatever. And you do that. Like, tell them, like, I appreciate you so much for coming to me and telling me that. And, like, you get so close. Every single time we have a contrast or something blows up, after we talk about it and resolve it, I feel like we're even closer. And it's just like, I don't know how we could possibly be any closer, but we always are getting closer. And it's just this crazy evolution. And I'm growing, since I've been in union with my twin, exponentially fast. And I'm sure it has something to do with all these energy waves coming in, but it's like also that. Because every single time I feel this contrast with him, or I get triggered, or he gets triggered, whatever, and we work through it, we're like, boom, level up in growth. Boom, level up in growth. And it just feels like, who am I? I don't even know who I was 6 months ago. I don't even know who I was a year ago. It's crazy. So you have to always have that conscious understanding of it. This is for a purpose. This union is for a purpose. It's not like other relationships. And let me just say this, you better know damn well it's your twin flame. Because if you're in a relationship and you're like, not like, don't get caught in a relationship putting up with bullshit and it's not even your twin, it's just some person that's in the 3D and repeating cycles. Like, you'll know it's your twin. I'm telling you right now, there's no way in hell I would put up with like communication issues or anything. There would be like, you better be perfect on paper for me to be in a relationship with you. Otherwise, I'm going to be alone because, like, it's got to be worth it to me. And because I know what I'm experiencing with my twin, it is worth it to me. And I'm shown that. I'm shown that through my insane growth that I've experienced with him, even since I met him, but especially since we came into union. Like, whoa, I don't even know who I am anymore, but I love it, and I love who I'm becoming. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah, and that's the last thing I put, was just like, when you do get triggered by your twin, just understand, like, the best thing you can do is be quiet. Be quiet, sit back, and observe. And it doesn't matter how long you need to be quiet for, and you're not being quiet because you're trying to get their attention. You're just trying to gather yourself. And once you come into this place of being and in alignment and back into this peaceful space emotionally, then go have this communication with your twin. Then go have this communication so you can, like, make choices and proceed from a higher space instead of from a triggered space. But yeah, I was totally coming on to make a new moon video, and they were like, no, like, you need to share this today. And it's important for people to understand, like, that's the hardest part about the twin flame journey. It's because it's not like any other relationship, and we can't navigate it like any other relationship. We can't keep the advice like it would be in any other relationship, but we also have to understand where to set boundaries, because it's not okay to be walked on. It's not okay to settle. It's not okay to do those things either. So, like, if you're not conscious enough to be able to handle this kind of relationship, then you will be you could in turn abuse yourself by being in a relationship that's not healthy. So for me, like, my triggers with my twin are like him unintentionally not communicating. Okay, if my trigger with my twin was something like he's verbally abusive to me, he disregards how I feel, or anything like that, gone, done. I don't give a shit if you're my twin flame. If you're that place in your growth level, goodbye. But, like, no, it's totally unintentional communicative problems. Something you can work through in union. Something that is not outwardly or intentionally hurting somebody. And those are, like, that's how you have to decipher how to navigate through this. Because even if you know you have a twin flame, that doesn't necessarily mean either of you are to the point where you're ready to even manifest union. I honestly feel like you will not manifest union until you're at a pretty significant place in your spiritual growth process. I really honestly believe that. I mean, everyone says that. If you want to manifest union, work on yourself. I've always said that all along. And once I had been working on myself so much, and then I manifested union with my twin, I was like, oh, this is why you have to work on yourself first, because you have to be able to work as a team and grow through these situations, through these triggers, through these, whatever life is throwing at you. A lot of times when twins get into relationships or come into union, it's right after they've come out of a huge marriage or quit a huge job or huge life changes, which is the case for me and my twin. Jobs, marriages, all that. And when you're going through those times, like, it's a roller coaster of emotions. And you're getting through those things together. So if you're not prepared for union, you're not going to come into union. It's just not going to happen. It's going to be crazy chaos. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I feel like it's important for me to talk about my journey, because it's so easy to be like, try to be black and white and just like state some facts when I make a video about twin flames. But it's like really like listening to a case study or hearing somebody who's gone through it. That's totally different. And I'm going to continue to come on here and be open about my relationship with my twin, because I feel like it does help people, and I don't see people coming on talking about it too much, about their personal experiences, because yeah, it's scary. It's super scary. And there's going to be other things that I've experienced in my life that I'm going to come on and talk about that doesn't even relate to twin flames in my videos, because, like, I don't know, the universe chose me to be that person to, like, do the scary shit. But I've always been that person to just, like, take a risk, and we'll see who cares what people think. I'm introverted anyways, so I have nothing to lose. Like, But it's just funny. It's just funny how they're carrying me through my journey. Shoot, there was something I was just going to say, but I lost it. But anyways, you guys, seriously, just, you have to get in this space where your vibrational alignment and your emotional state of being is your top priority. Because, like, I'm telling you all these things about my experiences, but really the only thing that matters is that. Because when you're in alignment, that intuition is there, and you, like, are gonna feel at peace with your decisions because you're aligned. You know they're coming from a good place. The best way to never ever make a decision out of alignment. If you're triggered and going crazy, just be quiet and sit back and just be and observe. Do not ever make action or communication when you're out of alignment. Just sit yourself back in that space. Because if you're there, you can trust. You can always trust that that is, you know, you're trusting your intuition. It's the best choice for you. I love you guys, and I'm going to be back on soon. I was going to make a new moon video today, but I feel like this was more important for you guys. If you guys want to follow me on Facebook or Instagram, just look up Kelsey Franks. All my services are on my website, kelseyfranks.com. And if you guys have any experiences that you want to share with your twin that can relate to this video, please do so below, and don't be afraid to, you know, communicate with each other in the comments and become a little community, because I want this to be a free, open space where everybody is loving and accepting and understanding and able to support each other on my YouTube channel. That's what it's here for. That's what I'm here for. And I hope we can just keep, you know, growing this community in connection with each other. Support system, really. It doesn't just help you guys, it helps me too. I love hearing from you. I love hearing, you know, different experiences and different perspectives. Like, I think that's another reason why I come on here, is because you don't see too many women who are the divine masculine, you know? Like, I'm a divine masculine perspective in this. And we see a lot of YouTube pages that it's the divine feminine, you know, channeling or doing readings or whatever. And that doesn't surprise me, because they're usually the ones that are the most intuitive and born with their gifts. Like, my twin was born with his third eye open, you know. He has all these gifts, and it's just weird how everything worked out. And I know that's for a purpose, because I have a purpose to be on here talking to you guys, and so I can grow and just have this own unique experience of my own. So I hope it helps you guys, and I will be back on again soon.